You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from Oklahoma City, but it's not in Oklahoma and it's not a city at all. This feels like a fairly out there intro, but I just got back from Oklahoma City, the actual city in Oklahoma. I'm not a fan of their drivers, but I am a fan of Interdimensional IRSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty, the anime podcast.
When you're right, Brandon, and you are right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Travis.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Brandon, and it's gonna be a good episode today. I'm really excited about this particular episode. Got lots.
I love how you just manifest that. Like, it's gonna be a good episode. We haven't recorded it. We sense the future as if it is a memory, so we already know it's gonna be great. And yeah,
you gotta do that. You gotta do that, Travis. If you don't start your episodes with positivity and maybe wishful thinking a little bit, then
a little bit.
And then you're gonna be screwed. But let's go ahead and get the good times rolling with some social media. You can follow us over on X, Travis, at Rick and Morty Pod. Facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast, Instagram and Threads, Rick and Morty Podcast, email Rick and Morty Podcast at gmail.com. And of course, you go over to Reddit, rickandmorty.reddit.com, the official subreddit of the show. Our subreddit, I'll skip it. Our website, which I did update as far as the themes go. And then, thank you to all our patrons. You are the best. And I know I'm skipping the youtube.com/apathetic enthusiasm, but I want to talk about the patrons.
Yeah, I mean, people need to know where they can get the video versions of this podcast.
Yeah,
Brandon.
but do you know where you can get bonus stuff like post shows where we talk nothing about the actual show and we go on tangents about
That's not entirely true. Sometimes we're even more candid about our thoughts on the show.
That's true.
Over behind the security of our paywall at patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm. Yeah, so if you're a supporter of the show, if you're over on Patreon, thank you so much. We are extremely grateful for you. If you want to support this show or any of our podcasting efforts, you can do that at patreon.com/apathetic enthusiasm. Thanks again to everybody that does that. Yeah, and as you mentioned in the intro, Brandon, you spent a little time in Oklahoma City, I think. What I'm sorry. For the audio listener, Brandon just used a can koozie on his whiskey glass. Is the koozie completely surrounding the glass? Are you drinking from the? Oh, okay. You have a little sipping spot.
Yeah. There's a little gap in the koozie, because it's like so for the audio listener, it's like a little slap bracelet type of koozie. So I just slap this some bitch right around the whiskey glass. You can kind of keep it a nice temperature. I'm really excited about this episode. It's gonna be a good episode today.
You're so excited about it. What about it are you so excited about, Brandon?
I mean, what isn't there to be excited about? We've had this conversation before, I feel, in the past, in the present. Doc Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the conversation has already happened on a future timeline. All right, well then let's get right into our first segment. It's a segment that we like to call semi-pertinent news.
Bring ding ding dong dong dang 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 bring ding ding dong 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 bring ding 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 dong 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 dong. Yeah, semi-pertinent news. Here we go. Yeah, Travis, what do you want to talk about?
All right. So
it threw me off because the show note says Rick and Morty the animated series, and I had this mental disconnect because I know it's like, no, Rick and Morty is the animated series, and then I was like, okay, no, he's referring to the Adult Swim bumper that kicks ass.
Yes. So this came out recently. It was posted This is posted 3 days ago on somebody's I'm assuming this is the artist. Yes. Okay. All right. So it was directed and produced by Aaron Fromm, and this is an adult. This is an Adult Swim bumper that they play like during commercial breaks and stuff like that. But it is a Rick and Morty bumper in the style of Batman the Animated Series, and I feel like you just brought up Batman the Animated Series. It was either during an episode of the podcast or maybe during a post show, but I feel like you were just talking about this.
Yeah, and I don't remember what I was saying about Batman the Animated Series. There's a new show on Hulu that was done by Bruce Timm, Caped Crusader, which is a good show.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I was talking about. But
Maybe.
anyway, I love Batman the Animated Series, or BTAS as they say in
As they say.
in 90s slang. Another huge fan of that, Brian Newton, seasons 1 through 3 animator.
That's right.
I'm like, that is cool. That is a cool bumper, man.
It's
that bumper on my wall, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that bumper on my car.
Heck yeah. My 63 Corvette. You want to put that on my 63 Corvette?
That bumper sticker. If you're not watching the video of this, it is basically a recreation of Batman the Animated Series.
The intro.
Their intro, but with Rick and Morty characters. So you got some Mr. Poopy Butthole, you got a really kind of creepy looking Meeseeks, and then of course you got Rick and Morty. There's some Gronfalmites making an appearance as police officers. So yeah, really, really great job. I gotta admit, I'm not as big of a Batman the Animated Series fan. I didn't grow up watching it that much, even though I think for most of my life I would probably have called Batman one of my favorite superheroes. Yeah.
Well, I think I know why. It's because you're too busy watching KCal 9, or whatever the San Diego equivalent is.
Yeah.
So you could be watching not DuckTales, like Goof Troop and stuff like that.
Oh, Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, Tailspin.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Marsupilami.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was watching. Who knows? Anyway, go check this out. There's a link to the YouTube video in our show notes. Yeah, that's the newsiest thing this week in terms of some permanent news. Anything going on over on the subreddit?
Yeah, well, so over on the Reddit post of the week, the top post for this week is one by Scott Jones. It's amazing what you can see when you go frame by frame. And it is an image of the Nimbus episode where Nimbus is walking past Jerry towards Beth. She's in the background, and Nimbus just pokes Jerry in the crotch. Just being like, "Hey, pokey, let's get it on."
I was trying to put it up on the video, and it's getting cropped. But yeah, he's just poking him right there in the front zone.
That's right. Yeah, 7,000 upvotes. Yeah, good job, Scott Jones. Scott Jones. I'm assuming a pronoun here, but they also have another post that is pretty close. I can't find my web browser, but they were actually second runner up as well, which is interesting. The second one is season 1 animations were wild. Oh, it's not Scott Jones. It's Scott Jones. Sorry, Scott Jones. And it is
that feels like maybe 2 accounts by the same person. Who knows? Maybe
no,
not.
It's the same account. It's the same account. I messed it up. Second one is season 1 animations were wild, and it's where Beth is doing horse surgery. Jerry's in the background talking about giving the putting her dad into a home. And hey, good job, Scott Jones.
Way to look for the details. Way to look for, all the little bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna do it in what is an otherwise relatively slow time of the year for Rick and Morty news. But if you see something interesting or I don't know, something that surprised you out on the interwebs, semi-pertinent story to Rick and Morty, send it our way. and we will be sure to cover it. Yes, we are crowdsourcing the work for this podcast. Thank you so much. All right, when we come back, we will be getting into the main thing where we will be talking about episode 3 of Rick and Morty the anime. So stick around, and we will be right back. Everybody, we are back. Thank you so much for sticking around. It is now time for the part of the episode that you downloaded the podcast for. It is time for the main thing.
I'm saying 1-866-753-0 main thing.
What the heck just happened?
That's the number you can call. That's the number you can call to get a hold of our main thing hotline. Operators are standing by.
Not an actual phone number. What happened to your voice?
I don't know. I don't know what I was trying to accomplish.
Once again, another reminder. Petition for us to do standardized transition songs. It might happen in season 8. Probably won't. All right. This is episode 3 of Rick and Morty the anime, entitled Alien Elle. Air date for this was August 29th, 2024. Written and directed by Takashi Sano. And our bronopsis, Morty looking for his girl in this one, bruh. The future is a memory, bruh. Official synopsis, not posted on the internet.
Nope. Maybe on Max, but we're not.
It is.
We're not going to do it here. Not here, not now. So yeah, I want to point something out. I don't think for this series that we have to say the written and directed by, because it's going to be Takashi Sano the entire time.
Yeah. But I mean, we'll give him his flowers. Official synopsis: Morty takes the fight to the Federation, and Morty looks for love in all the wrong places. And
all
Max
right.
is officially where I'm going to be pulling those for the rest of season. So just so we're clear. Well,
let's go ahead and get into the discussion piece. I'm going back and forth where like how I want to start talking about it, which is funny because that's how the episode and the show is so far is how do we want to talk about it, because we want to talk about some stuff up front, but it's like, no, well, let's talk about it on the back end. And there's a whole lot of that type of stuff in this episode. Morty goes back to the VR. We saw him last episode crying. This episode features him heavily. He's looking for his alien girlfriend, Elle. Travis, I think that we have a hard time kind of breaking these down into different like segments and plot points.
Yeah, we're going to be full transparency for the listener here. I took stream of consciousness notes while rewatching the episode. And then instead of digesting this into actual podcast talking points, I just copied those notes into our show notes. So really, and it's interesting to me because looking back on this episode, looking at my notes for this episode, like it still doesn't feel like a lot is happening in the course of an episode. It's really interesting. Each one of these episodes really takes its time trying to progress the plot, move things along. I would argue that within these first 3 episodes, the plot line is not as dense as we would have in one standard Rick and Morty episode that we're traditionally used to, right? I think that it's giving itself more time to be artistic, to explore some other ideas, to take some artistic license with timing and things like that. And also this whole idea of time travel and moving through time, the interplay that it has with the actual episodes itself in terms of we don't know if what we're seeing happened in the past. Is it happening in the future? Is it happening in the present? when are some of these things happening? The continuity is sometimes a little off, especially in that first episode. But in the course of this episode specifically, as Morty is going through, he's trying to reconnect with Elle. He's going to all these other like alien shops. He's printed out a picture of her. He's like, "Hey, I'm looking for her." And finally, he finds a Rick. It's not his Rick, but it is a Rick who knows Elle, knows who she is. And he starts to like walk with this Rick, and they have conversation about who Elle is and about where she comes from, things like that. All of this is sort of being intercut with what I'm assuming is a past experience where Morty initially met Elle or was working with Elle. It's a different version of Elle. It's more of an alien version. And we see their relationship sort of start to develop as they are freedom fighters that are and it's weird because like there's a wanted poster with Space Morty happening in what I think is VR, but then there's also like cuts where Rick is selling devices to the president and the president is showing the same wanted poster, and so it's like is this in VR? Is this in reality? Like what is happening with the continuity? I don't know. Is it as confusing for you as it is for me when you're watching?
Yeah, you know, I like shows like Lost and Westworld, and where in Twin Peaks, where you're like, okay, let's go ahead and explore this a little bit. Let's look at the theme. Like, what is happening, right? Let's water cooler talk this. And it is confusing. It is confusing because you don't even know where to start, really, right? There's not.
Yeah.
What as you were talking, the thing that popped in my mind was the Vonnegut novel Slaughterhouse-5. Like the main character is unstuck in time. It's like this whole like where is he in time type of thing, and if that's the intent of the like kind of choppy storytelling that we've seen in the first 3 episodes, then it makes sense because I feel that I'm not sure where I am either. Which, and we can talk about the pros and cons of that as a viewership a little bit later. But yeah, I actually saw I was on my phone a couple minutes ago looking for this one comment in Reddit where they broke it down pretty succinctly, and it was like, oh, that makes sense. Somebody pulled the thread. They looked at it. And okay, they explained the story, and so although this Elle stuff is like she knows all, but then she doesn't know all. The whole Rick and then the Rick ponytail, the long-haired Rick, like they're like the long-haired Rick did something to try to get his family back, which screwed a bunch of stuff up, which is why then like our Rick C-137 happened to get that bomb that long-haired Rick got. And so like that's probably the core of the whole Rick storyline. Now all the Morty stuff, uh because he is with a time unstuck alien, that's how you can be telling like the Rick a plot or B plot, and then the Morty A plot B plot.
Yeah.
It's but you know we're I won't say grasping at straws, but we are grasping at trying to understand this. And you know, I don't think we're alone in that.
Yeah, and I agree. I am really curious now in retrospect that we don't have access to all of the creative team. I mean, maybe they'll do another interview with us after the series is over. But like this is a 10-episode order, I believe, and so far the first 3 episodes have felt like 3 parts of the same story, almost the same episode. And I almost wonder if there was like there was a concept for a story that could have been one really good episode or a couple of really good episodes, and they're like, you know what? this could be a season. Like if we fill it out a little bit more, and so I almost wonder if there's like the same issue that we have with, and it's critiques we've made on Apathetic Enthusiasm about streaming shows sometimes, where sometimes they feel like they're too drawn out because it's like a movie's worth of content that they stretch over 6, 8, or 10 episodes, and then you're like, well, all right, like this needs to progress faster. Maybe this is like a movie's worth. Like if this had been Rick and Morty the anime, the movie, maybe it would have been like, it could have been condensed down a little bit more, and then like, I don't know, we don't know what's in store for the next 7 episodes, but
and I don't know if we talked about this last week, but that's a part of it, right? These episodes are short.
Yeah.
So 10 episodes times 15 minutes, minus the theme song, which is like 2.5. It's movie length, right?
yeah.
So what was I gonna say? I was gonna say, crap, I had it. It was about being unstuck still. Keep talking. I'll interrupt you when I remember it.
Well. So anyway, being unstuck in time, right? We learn more in this episode about Elle, and what makes her specifically special is that she is from a race of aliens that can see the future, right? They perceive the future as memories, just the same way we perceive the past.
Yeah, like Dr. Manhattan from the Emmy Award-winning show. Did it win an Emmy? I don't remember. Watchmen. He can see it all from his existence anyway. So, which is like Elle, right? When they're born, then that's when they start, and then they can see everything.
Yeah, up to the point of their death, apparently.
Yeah. And in long hair Rick is talking about that, can't even comprehend that, can't even someone like him can't even comprehend that. So I just talked about like the A and B plot type of stuff, and again, I don't know what is A, what is B, what is any of the alphabet at this point in time, but the fact that we're talking about an alien that uses time travel, or like doesn't use time travel but has that kind of thing.
Yeah.
This long-haired Rick created some kind of bomb that can reset things, or go back in time, kind of like, I wonder if there's something where like he extracts something. I'm just throwing shit at the wall.
Some speculative speculation for sure. There may be, I mean, obviously her perception of time and his ability to somehow manipulate time, very common themes, may be connected. We may find that at the end of this season that there's something there. I think this episode brings up something that I think can sometimes be an issue once you start introducing things like time travel, and that is the idea of stakes. That is the idea of threats to our protagonists, right? And I find that there have been a couple of examples in this episode specifically where it feels like Elle's perception of the future limits the stakes in the things that they're doing. There's a planet, it's under attack from the Galactic Federation, and she seems undeterred by this. She walks right into situations with the confidence of knowing what the outcome will already be. There's another situation later on where it seems almost like a assassination attempt that she's able to easily thwart because she knows what's going to happen, right? So I don't know if that limits the stakes or if it just, I don't know, doesn't it makes it feel like there's less risk to Morty maybe when she's around. I don't know, how do you perceive that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, everybody. Maybe it's my blue headphones that I keep thinking of Dr. Manhattan. Even, like that was the thing with him. You have this all-powerful being. How do you stop that? And then in the comic, what's not Vesuvius, I'm so mad that I forget his name. Anyways, basically the main villain of Watchmen,
Oh, yeah. Hold on, let me just pull it.
Ozymandias.
Yeah,
Ozymandias.
Ozzy.
He finds a way to block Doc Manhattan's ability to see what's going on, right?
Right.
And because of that, then it's like, oh, now he's breaking stuff up. Um, we don't know what's going to happen with Elle. We don't know what's going to happen with Rick and Morty, but the you asked the question in here. Um, Elle and Morty are in the diner and they're talking, and uh, Elle's like, "People are scared of me," and Morty's like, "I'm not scared of you at all." And she looks a little confused in that moment. At the same time, like the other Rick is like voiceovering, talking about how you can't like she sees the moment of her death. That's
Yeah,
her.
it's weird because his dialogue even explicitly says something to the effect of like she knows what people's reactions will be to conversations, like, or things like that. And then it cuts to them having a conversation where she looks, I perceived it as a little surprised, like the way that her face kind of, like her mouth is open. She's like, "Huh?" Like it sounded very much to the contrary of what Rick was saying in that same dialogue. And that to me is something that's confusing. Like, if she can perceive the future, what, like, what is
Yeah.
why exist, I guess. I don't know. Like, if it's explicit that though she knows the future, she cannot change it, just like we can't change the past. That's something that Rick says. But, like, so is she like a slave to the future? Like, does she not have free will? Like, if she knows what's going to happen in this diner, right? If she knows what's going to be out the window, does she have a choice in how she responds, or
Yeah.
is she just hardwired that she knows every decision that she's going to make before she makes it, and then is destined to make that same decision?
Yeah, it's interesting. What I'd be interested to see is if Morty is somehow not she's not able to see what's going on with Morty. Like she can see all the stuff around maybe, but she can't as, ascertain his intents or motivations, right? And so it's
He's
like
like a future blind spot.
yeah, exactly. It's like when I go to Wikipedia when a new movie comes out, and like I just want to know how it starts, how it ends, and then I'm like I don't know what's in the middle. There's some stuff, some gunfights, all that type of stuff. But hey, I know how it ends. Maybe she knows how she lives and dies. But this particular thing with Morty, it's like she's drunk. She's got a
Uh,
period. Like a
I guess. I guess.
uh,
So anyway, other things that are happening in this episode because of her future sight, they do liberate a planet. Morty is there. Morty is recognized, and so Space Morty becomes a hero on this planet. It's suddenly goes from like a desolate, like, all like wasteland of a planet to like a super futuristic, quasi Earth-like planet, except they have like pickles for hot dogs or something like that, and some other weird differences. But then it's just like they're like living out a normal kind of life, except that they're wanted by the Galactic Federation. Yeah, so that's kind of it in terms of development for their relationship that we get. There's some future conversations that happen with Rick and Elle in some sort of spaceship or something, where Elle is talking about how it's going to end, Rick is talking about how it's all going to end, and Elle kind of turns the tables on Rick and says, "You're the one regretting the future right now," which is an interesting line. I think the line "regretting the future" is really interesting, and
Yeah.
they have this sort of understanding between the two of them that like they have set things in motion that cannot be changed and have an inevitable outcome. So even if Rick as a human can't perceive the future the way Elle can, he can still predict or understand where things are going, and he is starting to feel that future regret even though he's not gifted with Elle's powers.
It's like when I started drinking this morning. I'm like, you know what? I know I'm gonna regret the future.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Happy
There it is.
Labor Day, everybody.
Happy Labor Day, Labor Day, burr.
Labor Day.
And then so the last thing, so as in classic Rick and Morty fashion, there is a post credits stinger. Travis, talk to us about this, the credits, post credit stinger. Do it.
I forgot it. I didn't rewatch the stinger.
Oh, oh shit. All right. Well, go ahead and edit. They'll go and cut that out then.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do any editing. The very end of the episode though is Morty on his bed with the VR helmet still on, right? And so this again brings in everything into question. Is anything that we saw in this episode real? Is it all VR? Is VR reality in another dimension? Who knows? The questions that we will be arguing for years to come, I'm sure.
So Travis, so here's probably, again, talking about these episodes, is they are all over the place, and we don't know what was when and where it was in the episode, right? So I think the post credits here is long-haired Rick goes back to his house. C-137 is there, and C-137's like, go ahead and take care of your family, they're yours. And then that C-137 flies off. I think
Yes.
I think that's the end of it.
Yes, and that's the scene where that long-haired Rick has a video of baby Morty on his smartphone or some sort of device, and his thumb hovers over the delete button. Like, am I going to delete this video? Sort of like I don't know, a way of saying, like, am I going to delete the Smith family from my life? And then inevitably he ends up canceling the delete and keeping the video, which is sort of like could be interpreted as, I'm going to stick around with the Smith family. I'm going to stick with Morty, right? Yeah, it was. I remember that being one of my more favorite parts of the episode is those stingers. They get me with stingers. But just
you remembered it so clearly and cleanly.
Yeah, right after I opened the Max app on my own smartphone and scrubbed to the end of the episode while Brandon was talking.
Real quick, there's a comment on Reddit saying, you know, the precog angle could be really interesting. Precog being referencing to a Minority Report, which check out my appearance on the trivia podcast. So at the very end of that movie, Tom Cruise is facing off against Max von Sydow, Lamar Burgess, and he's saying, you know what the precogs have seen this. You know that the precogs are showing that you're going to kill me, which means you have a choice. So what are you going to do? If you kill me, then that proves that pre-crime is accurate. But if you don't kill me, then you have to release everybody because it means they could change their future. And then Lamar Burgess shoots himself. So there's still a murder anyway. So
I got a red ball.
So I'm wondering if there's any themes that are kind of coming from that type that film as well.
Yeah, so Morty's sitting on the bed. He's got the VR helmet on. Summer busts in the room and says, "We have to go save Grandpa." These are the A and B plots kind of shuffling and realigning a little bit in this, and then the credits roll. So I am assuming that in episode 4 we will get a little bit more, maybe another team up with Space Beth, utilizing those connections to get out there and find where their Rick is, or figure out how to get him back. But generally, I think that is the gist of what happened in this episode. Looking back at some favorite bits, really, for me, the conversation that happens in the diner, like during that time where they talk about, Morty asks Elle if she has a present, right? And she talks about how the present exists for everybody and how it exists in that speck of time between the past and the future. And as soon as the future catches up, it becomes the past, but everybody can live in that present. I thought that was a cool little conversation and something that stuck out for me.
Yeah, it reminds me of Spaceballs.
Okay.
Here it is. It's now, and it's gone.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite bit is, although maybe some of the dialogue between long-haired Rick and Morty wasn't my favorite. What I did like was that, like, the big ass flying dragon thing was flying up. Something at another version of that dragon, it was on the ground dying, and it was the art there was really cool. I really appreciated the art direction and the animation there.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a contrast to some of the other parts of the show, like more, I won't say simplistic, right? Because I can't draw worth a shit, but it is not as refined as that animation specifically.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
One moment that I struggled with in this episode, it's in the sequence where Morty and Elle are sort of infiltrating the resistance forces on that planet, and Elle just like walks up to armed guards, doesn't say anything, and they like let her through. And then the next scene is her standing in front of like their resistance leader. Again, Elle not saying anything, but the resistance leader being like, "Yeah, you've sure got some guts. I trust what you're doing." And there's zero context. There's no, we have no idea what Elle has done to gain the trust or anything. Like, all we saw is that she walked in there confidently.
You're kind of, you're having to piece these things together, and like I assumed it was, they were doing all that freedom fighting stuff against the Federation, and so those people had been enslaved by the Federation, which by the way, side note, the dialogue about the Federation coming down and being like, "We're here to protect you, so don't fight back,"
Yeah.
was funny. So I put those two together, but it's the segue, the transition between those moments is, it's not nothing is smooth about any scene transition in the show. In that, emotionally, maybe like emotional momentum, it doesn't always feel there.
Yeah.
And so, I agree with you. And I think some other folks on Reddit, I think I linked you one. Somebody said it exactly how we feel about it, which is, there's interesting stuff here, but it doesn't feel joined together smoothly necessarily.
Yeah. One last thought, a couple last thoughts with watching this episode. One, we had the opportunity to actually watch it in person together, which is rare for us when it comes to episodes of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
You were out visiting me this last weekend. So it was cool that we could throw it on. It was interesting because we typically watch this show independently and then discuss our thoughts. And so for us to have it on and be able to like look over at each other and be like, we're on the same page about this. Yeah. Okay. Just, yep. All right. Just making sure. That was interesting. And then another thing that we noted while we were watching it, because we did watch it on Max, as two, adult males in our 40s. We watch just about everything with subtitles on, even if it's in English. And it was notable that a lot of the English dialogue was significantly different in some scenes from the dialogue on the subtitles, which I'm not sure if that's they translated the Japanese version as subtitles like separately from the dub, or how that happens. One thing of particular note is it seemed like there was more cursing, more swear words in the dub than in the subtitles, and I almost wonder if like the direction for the people that were re-recording this for English was like, yeah, make it a little more edgy, make it throw some more bad words in there for the American audience, because they're degenerates. I don't know what the decision was for that.
I'd heard I got some notes on Reddit that the subtitles are off. So some people have been saying that for the last 3 episodes now.
Mm-hmm.
But also that some people were getting the dub no, sorry, we're getting the subs on TV, but they weren't getting the dubs yet. But then also that some people's subtitles were correct and some people's were not.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So I don't know I don't know what's going on, but it is trippy, just like this show. The last thing I want to say about the show is when we're at Comic-Con, we saw a bunch of clips from throughout the season, and we were watching this episode together, and there's a scene where Morty goes in and the long-haired Rick is like setting up a bomb, and the Federation lands, and they're in mech suits and stuff like that, and they're attacking. Rick sets a bomb off, it blows everybody up, and then Morty hops on a bike, and then there's Elle and all this type of stuff, right? I had a hard time remembering that was at Comic-Con. That wasn't in the premiere episode.
Yep.
I mentally had a block where I'm like, I've seen that before. That must have been in the premiere episode. No, it wasn't. It was it was in the preview that we saw at Comic-Con.
I went through the same thing because I was like, I didn't get a screener for this episode, so I haven't watched this episode before.
Mm-hmm.
But I've definitely seen the scene when I was in a panel. I saw it on a big screen. That's where I saw it. Yep, that's right.
It feels like you fall asleep during after I got back from Oklahoma, right away watched Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In, his 6-movie marathon, and I managed to stay awake for 2.5 movies, fell asleep, and then here's what I'm gonna go is, you ever fall asleep during a movie or a series of movies, TV shows, and you like wake up periodically and be like, okay, this is happening, and you fall back asleep. And you wake up, oh, this was going on. They fall back asleep over and over again. That's kind of how the show is for me. Like, huh? Oh, okay, yeah, this happened. Huh. Hey, whoa. Okay, now Morty is fighting. Oh, now he's dead. Okay, now there's a dragon. That's I'm trying.
It's you're not totally off there. So, all right, those are our thoughts on episode 3, Alien Elle. Let us know what you think. Send us a comment, email, leave a post, a review, a comment on this video, however you want to do that, and we will shout out some of the best thoughts or comments that we get from you. Any particular short outs or things that you have this week, Brandon?
Yeah, I want to shout out to the folks that I met this last week who they all know me.
Yeah. You're a hero, Brandon.
They work with you, but they've only heard my voice and maybe seen pictures of me. And so, shout out to you, Sam. It's a pleasure to meet you in person. Yeah, Chris Jericho, I sorry that he sucks, that he had a bad day that day. Anyway, a pleasure to meet all of you. Thank you for supporting Travis.
Joel really wanted to meet you. He was very excited.
Joel,
You guys are very similar in your personalities, and your need for prescription lenses. So yeah.
Yeah, he's funny as well because he is that like is he joking?
Yeah.
Why did he say that? Okay, no, that's cool.
Yeah. I will give a particular shout out to one of our patrons over at Patreon, Astrid. Astrid has become a $10 member at the $10 tier. So thank you, Astrid, for your support at Patreon. I'm sure there's some goodies that we owe you, Brandon. We should talk about that after we're done here. Big shout out to Brandon for coming all the way out to Oklahoma to spend the weekend with me and celebrate a milestone in my career as I got promoted. Good time, great weekend. And I think that's going to do it for this episode. We are going to run out. Oh, he's got his fingers up. He's got one more thing.
I do have one more thing, Travis, and it's stay tuned for our post show if you are a patron. We're going to talk about Terminator Zero.
Another anime. Another anime worth talking about.
On Netflix currently.
Yeah.
And in some other stuff about my airplane stuff. But that I won't start with that. They'll all end with that.
Okay.
Really exciting.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode. We're going to go record that post show, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, I'm Travis.
And I am Brandon.
Bye.